It's hard to get grounded. Being ungrounded is difficult to fix because the etheric nature of ungroundedness makes it hard to pin down. And being ungrounded can come in several flavors. It could mean you're scattered or spaced out or easily influenced. All of those symptoms fall under aggravated subtle quality or sukshma guna in Ayurveda. And to help a person get grounded, we generally recommend stable routine, building ojas with heavy grounding comfort foods, increasing warmth, and cleansing ama. Also, by introducing beliefs that increase stable thinking patterns. So we're going to go over all of those and also herbs that can help in the next 3 videos. So I also want to mention that we have to take each case of ungroundedness on a case-by-case basis. If hormone imbalance is the reason why your client is ungrounded, that can't be fixed by eating heavy foods. We have to address the root cause, and that's true in general. Well, let's start off with stable thinking patterns that can introduce stability in your life. So having a sense of mission, clarity of purpose and goals helps direct your behavior and activity and keep you focused. Right? So we need to know our mission. We need to contemplate our mission and continually refine it so that every day we can begin with the end in mind. That's really important. If you know where you're going, you're not going to be easily influenced or distracted. If you know where you're going and you know your mission, you can measure how your choices are aligned with that mission and purpose, instead of just doing whatever whimsical thing you want to do in a day. And you can also prune those activities that don't align. The modern coaching industry is great because it has revived a goal-oriented mentality. So consider getting a life coach if you have excess subtle quality. That can help you set measurable goals and milestones for yourself, and then also begin journaling your progress with these goals. I want to say that determining mission is really difficult. Why? Because you're going to look inward to determine your mission, but when you look inward, you find that your instincts, desires, and aversions don't always reflect your true self. And it's hard to examine those hidden motives. Sometimes we're tempted to think that our instincts are natural, but sometimes they're very unnatural. Sometimes what we want is harmful to us and will not fulfill our true nature. And that's true also for our aversions. We'll talk about some examples of those. But doing what we want is often a paradox because many of our wants and instincts are in conflict with each other and with our highest good. For example, a person may want to be rich, but not want to work. So which instinct is the natural one? Maybe both, maybe neither. How about wanting to eat chocolate cake but wanting to lose weight? So conflicts between our wants and instincts is extremely frequent, and that creates instability. Sometimes I experience great clarity about what to do in a situation, but other times I notice for myself that I can get a little scattered and pursue all kinds of wants and desires that are contradictory. And I also have false aversions. For example, sometimes I'm afraid to take a risk, even though I know it will be a good thing for me. It's just hard to take that leap, right? Hard to take that step. And in my 20s, my friends and I, somehow, I became attached to the idea that a good, simple, stable life wasn't enough. I wanted something more exotic, something more adventurous. And I just ended up hurting myself with that. I mean, you have some good tales to tell, some good stories, and a lot of near-death experiences after having those adventures. I guess I could say I'm proud of them, but on the other hand, they really delayed me just having a nice life. What's wrong with a nice life? So it can require deep contemplation and reflection to discern your true mission in life, to be real, and to look inward and resolve some of those contradictions and see what remains. That's going to help you prioritize your needs and your wants and your actions according to what is prudent for your own happiness and good. And I use that word prudent, even though it's become, that word's fallen out of favor, right? There's a kind of aversion people have to the word prudence because they think it's something repressed. But here, I just want to point out that I'm directing that prudence to your own happiness, right? Just remember that what's ultimately practical is the thing which is ultimately fulfilling to your own happiness. And it behooves us all to contemplate and refine our vision of our own happiness every day. And don't be thinking that is not spiritual. That's exactly spiritual. And I think most traditions would say that if you are really determined to get your own happiness right, then your vision will end in a vision of the Creator himself. So that's a big claim that I'm making, but you see it across all traditions, that contemplation on ultimate bliss leading us to the ultimate divine truths and divine being itself. So, wow, so we started off talking about some concrete practice of refining your goals, but look where it took us to someplace very special and to the ultimate satisfaction of all of our appetites and desires, and that thing which is truly lovable. All right, so and satisfying too. All right, so healthy, stable relationships are going to help you stay more grounded, right? I think we all know that. I think most of us would identify relationships as the cause of our ungroundedness and work. And of course, relationships are also the source of being grounded. And you can be very ungrounded by not having a relationship too. So, proper routine, meaning dinacharya in Ayurveda, or abhyanga, which is massaging yourself with oil. That's very grounding. And having a stable routine is very grounding. I did a whole series, I think 18 videos on routine and dinacharya. Check those out. Having a home base is going to create stability. A permanent home, stable family, a pet, and although pets can be destabilizing too, stable income, being involved in your community, having a stable support network. I think it's worth it to take a moment to ask ourselves, what are the qualities of a stable community? And right at the top of that list, I'm putting people of all generations. We've gotten used to hanging around with folks that are our own age, and that's natural. But also, it's important that we get the wisdom of those that came before us, and also that we can experience the delight and joy of nurturing the generations to come. So, in stable communities, generally, they're stable because people are in them long enough to have children and parents and be grandparents. And so you see people of all generations in a stable community. If it's just a particular age group, then the community is going to be in flux all the time because people's age changes. So look for communities where the members of that community are in the community for their entire lives. So that could be in your in your family. It could be in your hometown. It could be in a place of worship. It could be going back to some of your childhood friendships and staying connected. I recently connected to one of my best friends from school, a person that I've admired my entire life, and and we just reconnected and rekindled an old friendship, and that feels great. So a lot of times, if your community is just simply around a shared interest, those communities may have a lot of flux in them too. So a bike club, for example, might be stable, but I've seen that a lot of those groups kind of have a lot of flux in them. Anyway, there's a bunch of folks of different generations sitting at a table enjoying a meal together, although the kid looks like they're about to go to sleep. Sleeping enough is helpful to introduce stability in your life so that you can maintain proper circadian rhythms, wake up with the sun, and get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Also, let's not overlook authority and the stability that authority can provide. And here's an area where I think a lot of moderns have aversion. They have an aversion to authority because it's an impingement on our freedoms, right? But authority also provides a standard structure and container, and that can balance subtleness. Nobody's capable of being an expert in every area of need in their life. So we're all forced to put faith in something and someone that knows a little more than us. I put here as the symbol of authority, this gavel, the judge, right? Banging the gavel is the authority figure. But we need to have faith in some systems, sometimes our government, even though that's hard. We've had a lot of strife in our government in 2020. But we still have to put our faith in things and our systems in order to survive, and even faith in our friends, in our spouses, and our relationships. And we need something to believe in. Everybody believes in something, even if it's just themselves, right? Who's your authority figure? It's frequently necessary to choose credible, trustworthy authority. We could choose, and no authority is perfect, right? You're going to get burned a bit with any authority. But also the authority provides a lot of value too, and it's important to recognize that value that it is provided, right? As much as our government may have made mistakes and should be accountable to those mistakes, on the other hand, it gave us our life, right? In a way, it provided the structure and container that allowed us to be born and live and be fed. And piety is that virtue that acknowledges that, and cultivating piety can help you cultivate a healthy relationship with authority figures and see the good and the bad. So authority can help you, especially if you're that kind of person that's easily influenced or easily persuaded. By accepting an authority, you can hold constant, relying on something or someone that can provide a structure where you cannot. All right, let's talk about foods next.